What's up, guys? My name is Scotty and I'm going to talk about my research project. I did a lot of research about how the government has attempted to override citizens' civil liberties. 6 weeks after 9/11, the Bush administration passed the Patriot Act, which stands for Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism. 6 weeks after 9/11, this sounded like a great bill because America was emotionally scarred about 9/11 and Americans wanted to make sure nothing like that would ever happen again. The problem is that the Patriot Act gave the government a lot more power than just what was necessary to prevent terrorism. It gave the government the power to assume everyone is guilty of terrorism until proven innocent, and that is completely against America's legal system. It also stripped Americans of their Fourth Amendment right, because the government can now search your property without a warrant or even suspicion that you are related to terrorism. The only reason this bill was passed is because it was proposed 6 weeks after 9/11, and people were so focused on preventing another 9/11 that they didn't even bother to look into the fine print of what power the Patriot Act would actually grant. The Patriot Act was very controversial, and the Bush administration knew that the Patriot Act would not pass again, so they drafted the Domestic Security Enhancement Act, also known as the DSEA. The DSEA was supposed to fix all the controversial sections of the Patriot Act, but still allow the government enough power to prevent terrorism. The DSEA was leaked 2 years before it was going to be voted on, and it was an absolute joke. It actually was going to give the government more domestic spying privileges rather than limiting their privileges. Thankfully, it did not pass in 2004, so the U.S. policy for preventing terrorism reverted back to the policies of the Federal Intelligence Surveillance Act, commonly known as FISA. Under FISA, the government has to have evidence that a person is related to terrorism in order to spy on them inside the U.S. So this ensures our Fourth Amendment rights, but still gives the government enough power to try and prevent terrorism. This policy is what the government is using as of today, so for now our civil liberties are ensured. I also did some research about the Democratic Party trying to pass bans on firearms. After the tragic shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School, the government tried to pass bans on assault rifles. I believe if the government could get away with it, they would try to completely eliminate the Second Amendment, which is our right to bear arms. And the Second Amendment is very important to us because it's our way of protecting ourselves against any sort of threat, which someday could even be the government. Hopefully nothing like that will ever happen, but if we felt it was necessary to revolt against the government and we had no firearms, we would be helpless, and that's why the government trying to eliminate the Second Amendment is kind of scary. After doing my research, I made the connection that both of these attempts to override our civil liberties occurred right after a horrific national event. The government uses these tragedies to get people on board with legislation that will take away our protection against the government. We need to make sure that we are aware of what the government is trying to accomplish because they are the people that are running the country we live in.